Excellent. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Go big with these slides. Yeah. So you've all seen the headlines. College prices have skyrocketed. The student debt's a $1 trillion crisis. But other headlines tell a different story. College actually isn't expensive after all. And the average scholarship discounts are at an all-time high. So which is it? Today, the actual prices that students pay vary wildly. The same student can be asked to pay $10,000 a year at one college and $70,000 a year at another. Unfortunately, it's a lot like those mystery discount coupons where you don't find out your price until after you've picked out what you want to buy. For most Americans, the problem isn't that college education is unaffordable. The problem is that we're forced to make choices about college options without being able to shop by price. And that's where at TuitionFit, we've created something that empowers the public to solve the problem themselves. Because all those actual prices aren't hidden in a vault somewhere. They're laying out on kitchen tables all over the country in the financial aid awards that high school seniors receive every spring. For over a year now, families have been sharing those letters with TuitionFit's College Price Clearinghouse in the cloud. We anonymize and organize these offers. Now anyone can come to TuitionFit and compare real college prices and finally be confident that they have found the best value for them. Just like Kelley Blue Book, TuitionFit empowers the consumer with the pricing information they really need. In a year and a half, we've gathered more than 6,500 offers from students across a wide range of student types that represent over almost 800 colleges and universities. And with this data, we can sell access to real pricing information to families who are just starting the college search, along with consulting services to help them interpret the prices they see. And since March, monthly sales have grown 600%. But that's not all. We can also offer college search professionals a subscription to search the data set, allowing them to provide far better pricing guidance to their clients. Earlier this month, we offered a limited number of subscriptions to a beta user group. And within 2 weeks, we had sold out, and now we have a growing waiting list. But what's more, today, higher education institutions have to be able to compete on price. And it sounds crazy, but they don't actually know each other's prices. So we offer institutional subscriptions to colleges and universities so they can see their competitors' actual prices. And in addition, subscribing colleges can underbid the offers that students share from other schools, a sort of simplified price line for the higher ed marketplace. We've managed to do this with almost no marketing budget. Why? Well, because we've been featured in the national media by the New York Times, CNBC, Forbes, among others. We've been guests on a different podcast every month. And over 20 different college search companies are actively promoting TuitionFit because every day their own customers tell them that the number one concern is about finding value, and value starts with knowing price. On this trajectory, even more valuable than those customer segments put together will be TuitionFit's data set and the insights within. TuitionFit brings real transparency to a broken marketplace. Families save time, money, and stress finding a college in their price range. And our data set revolutionizes the chance to create new value for every participant in the higher education ecosystem. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions?
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey, great presentation. I have a question for you. What are your plans for the future with TuitionFit?
Well, we were we were pretty sure this was going to matter about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have a magic 8 ball. And if we did, I know that from magic 8 balls, if you ever had one, it didn't say global pandemic. Like that wasn't an option. But now TuitionFit has become incredibly important. And it's become incredibly important no matter how all of this higher ed stuff plays out. If you've talked to any college students recently, the likelihood's quite high that they've all said, I hate online education. I want to get back to campus. And virtually every campus has said, we got to figure out a way to open because otherwise we're going out of business. So all of that stuff has just heightened the urgency for the whole marketplace to be able to make the argument for value and to improve their value proposition. And every one of them's dealing with the same problem, which is this tremendous inefficiency in that the system's not designed to talk about value from the very beginning of the process. So we're starting to try to sort of be careful about being specific and provide services for specific customer segments. But I think the long term here is that the value in the data set, it just supersedes all of that in terms of the ability to provide guidance to federal policymakers about how do you better support higher education most efficiently. And on the one hand, not just do nothing and watch higher education institutions scream, or throw tons and tons of money at the problem and never really fix anything. The other thing that's going on here is that there are all kinds of organizations that are creating products and services that are actually really useful. Income share agreements, other ways that students can access loans and funding sources to help pay for college. They're all in the same boat. They're operating with really poor data. And so the quality of their products is really sort of not where it could be. So this data can be incredibly helpful. I mean, imagine there's a whole industry now on tuition insurance, believe it or not. You can't produce a very good product when you don't actually know the prices.
Are you planning to scale this out to, say, like graduate programs as well, or what?
That is something that in the last several months, we've had people email almost every day. When are you going to do this for grad school?
Mm-hmm.
And that's certainly a possibility. We want to focus on the undergraduate side first, because the graduate school side, and you can tell, I think, from talking to me and my co-founder, Kimberly, we've spent between us 40 years in higher education. We know this space backwards and forwards. The scenario to sort of pull the curtain back to graduate school is actually quite different than undergrad. Undergrad pricing is actually really predictable if you know how to build a formula. And having done it on the inside, we're just reverse engineering it for the public. But the graduate school thing would require a lot of digging and figuring out how it plays out, not just graduate school generally, but different kinds of graduate schools. Law school is very different than the health professions field, which is very different than typical PhD in the humanities. I don't know if anybody's offering those anymore, but I'm kidding. Don't get mad at me if you love the humanities. But that's a whole nother kettle of fish that is ripe for the taking, but we need to focus on the undergrad side first.
Thank you.
Have you thought about going after financial advisors or other people that provide financial advice to parents in advance as part of the planning tool, or integrating it into that kind of software?
So in that group of college search guidance professionals is financial advisors. That is a profession that 20 years ago, they never touched college planning, and now it's the number one question they get all the time from new clients that are younger, is how do you help me plan for college? So they're a big piece of this, and there are already financial advisors using this tool to work with their families and students. So absolutely, that's a big piece of this. And you sort of hinted at something that is right on the edge of our radar. We have already had a number of very large platforms that financial advisors use that have asked, can we essentially tap into the TuitionFit tool with APIs and integrate it into our current systems, a system like an e-money, for example. So that's right around the corner for us. And we're really focused on just getting to the pricing data and creating that data set. So we're excited about the possibility of integrating this into other systems so that the data set grows and it's easier for people to use it.
Thanks.
So you acquire this data from people voluntarily submitting it to you?
Yes.
And so usually any decision by a university to give financial aid is based on a number of factors. Are you able to curate and parse that so that it's truly meaningful?
Yes. So this is where, having been, I say been on the inside for 25 years, and I didn't mean that in terms of prison. I mean that working in colleges and universities. One of the interesting things about this whole space is that colleges and universities make a big deal about saying how they use a holistic admissions process, and they want to evaluate all kinds of things about each individual student. And folks often assume that means that they also use that same approach to come up with pricing. That's actually not how colleges do it. And you can imagine, if you didn't know anything about what your applicant pool would look like every year, you'd never be able to be certain that you get to your budget that you need to get from tuition. College pricing is actually on a pretty basic matrix of need and merit, financial need and academic merit. So when students share their award letters with us, we also ask them a series of questions, maybe 10 questions, that allow us to organize that data in exactly the way that colleges organize their prices. And then when the students share their information with us, as a reward for sharing, they get free access to see now all of the offers shared by students just like them, the same need, the same merit. So there's a real benefit for students to share, and that's why they're doing it. And then we have the data and we've organized it. And I should emphasize that we anonymize all of that data, and that the user actually controls that anonymizing process before it goes into the system. So they have final approval on seeing that their award letter's actually been anonymized, and they recognize that, yep, I see that no one could tell that's me. So we protect their identity all the way through.
Mark, I see a question in the chat asking if we're familiar with College Raptor, which we are, and if they're a potential competitor or how we differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I'm still on this full screen share, so I didn't see the chat. We actually know the College Raptor guys well, and I consider them great friends. We're both tackling some of the same problems, and we're just tackling it in different ways. And in a lot of ways, I think we are complements to each other. College Raptor uses an algorithm that is not totally different from the algorithms that several other companies used, essentially to predict what your price might be based on the public data that's available. And it's 2-year-old data from the federal government. And Kimberly and I know this data well because we filled these surveys out for 10 years. So it's a data set that when it becomes public, it's a couple years old. And interestingly, the federal government agreed to prevent themselves from collecting student level data in about 2007. And that includes the actual prices that individual students pay. So the only data that's available is aggregate data that's either the sticker price that a college is offering or the average actual price across all the students at that institution. You can slice it a couple of different ways that they do that now in the last couple of years, but still what you end up with is estimates. And so those estimates are great until they're not great because they're wrong and you don't know that for several months, but you've made choices based on those estimates. So we felt like the better way to get at that was to get the real data and get the public to share it. College Raptors' business model is that they're going after the colleges to pay them for services to consult on their admissions funnel. And it's pretty useful stuff that they're providing. We're taking a different tact. And so a student could use College Raptor and us and have really complementary and interesting information.
I have a question. Aren't people interested in, other than tuition, to know also, for example, some normalized parameter, for example, tuition with respect to the quality of the education or the quality of life on the college or something like that, to put it on the same level in a certain way?
Yes, I think that's a great question, and it's a super important question because more and more, overwhelmingly, people are saying, look, I want to know that the value I'm going to get out of this experience is worth what I'm being asked to pay for it. So on a very simple level, you could look at two schools that are very different in price, but one school's graduation rate in 4 years is 25%. The other school's graduation rate in 4 years is 75%. Well, that actually makes a huge difference. There's also survey data on the quality of the experience at an institution for non-white students, for example. All of that stuff really matters. What we're trying to do, and one of the reasons that we've been able to develop so many partnerships with other companies in this space, is because they're all trying to provide that kind of guidance to their clients, but they're all doing it absent some really key information, which is the actual prices. So they've already built a lot of the ways to have these conversations with their families. And one of the things that Kimberly and I know from our work in higher ed is just because you have survey data or some specific data set doesn't mean that you can then just tell people that this school is of this value or that school is of that value for you, unless I've had a lot of conversations. So what we're trying to do is we'll get the pricing information and we'll get it so that it's absolutely clear this is the actual price that you're going to be asked to pay. Now we give that to the counselor, the financial planner, the advisor, and they're the ones that then has the conversation with you to turn that into, okay, what does this mean for value? Because for each individual that they're talking to, their formula for coming up with ultimate value is going to vary based on their own individual needs, what they want college to do for them, and sort of where they are as an individual. And so we see ourselves as producing one of the core data points that one needs to be able to get to that answer, and then teaming up with others that then can put all that together and have that conversation with students and families.
I wanted to say that was one of the best problem solution presentations that I've ever seen. It was crystal clear and it was vivid. I loved the sentence you include about where is this data? It's lying on kitchen tables all over the country. That's the kind of language that really resonates with your target market. And I just thought I'm glad that our students are here watching this. I thought this was a very good pitch. And
thanks.
And yeah, this definitely seems like a financial planning tool in terms of one of its biggest values, and I'm not surprised that you've been approached by that industry. So yeah, I have no notes other than really well done.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Looks like there's another question in the chat. It says, with the nature of financial aid being a large privacy concern, how do you convince these participants to willingly share their data?
Well, it hasn't been hard, to be frank. The reality of where the public is right now is that they are so frustrated with this process, and they see it more and more as a shell game. That their frustration level means, by and large, they say, you know what, whatever privacy worry, I don't care. I just need it. I want to know, am I getting a good deal or not? Now, when we ask students to provide information for us that helps us organize this data, we don't actually have to ask very deep questions about people's financial status, because when a student and family fills out the free application for federal student aid, what most people know of as the acronym, the FAFSA. At the end of the FAFSA, you get a number that's called the expected family contribution. Everybody hates that number, and no family says, oh yeah, that's a reasonable number that I should be expected to pay. It's a terrible proxy. It's a formula based on all kinds of foolish notions, but everybody's stuck with the same formula. And so you have a brilliant proxy for need that is both brilliant in that every college uses it or something like it based on it, while at the same time, nobody actually says, oh yeah, that's absolutely accurate and that tells everybody about my real financial situation. So that number becomes a really useful tool, and people are comfortable saying, here's the proxy for need. I can pop in my EFC, and it doesn't tell you anything about my real financial status. And when the student enters that information, they're entering it themselves, and then they're seeing all of these other awards offered by other students that are in that same category, but they're not seeing who those other students are. Everybody's anonymized. So they're just seeing all kinds of other offers that have been shared that are people who are in the same boat that they're in. And so we have created a way to make sure that each individual's anonymity is protected, and yet they're seeing everybody in the same boat they're in. We have had no issues from colleges and universities about, hey, how come you're putting this data up? The fact of the matter is that colleges and universities send out thousands or tens of thousands of acceptance letters every year, and this is just another one. It's anonymized, so they can't tell who it went to. And can you imagine the PR problem of a college who started to threaten a student if they were able to find out that the student had shared their award letter online? Well, first of all, there's tens of thousands of award letters already pumped up on Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat every day. So this isn't a new thing that these award letters are not publicly available. So we've had no issues with sharing, and part of that's because we really concentrated on building a process where the primary value at the very beginning of this is the student and the family is at the center of the process, and they are first and foremost.
Nice. Any other questions? There's one more question in the chat. It says, my experience with getting two daughters into and through private colleges is that the financial package was disclosed before a decision was required. Can you comment?
Yes. It was disclosed before a decision was required. That's true. But how many colleges or universities did you eliminate at the very beginning of the process without knowing what your price was going to be? You start with 3,500 colleges and universities, give or take, and you narrow that down to a set of schools that you choose to visit or look more deeply into. And then you narrow that down into a set of schools that you apply to. And the current system is designed in such a way so that you hope that you can afford the ones that you actually get accepted into, but you're not sure. And in several decades ago, when the sticker price reflected the actual price in most cases, fine, sticker price worked as your way to determine if it was a school you could afford. But nowadays, the sticker price went over the moon. The average actual price across all institutions is about half that. And you have students paying everything and students paying nothing, meaning that the average price that students pay is actually not all that useful to you, when your price could be $20,000 north or $20,000 south of an average price of $30,000. Multiply that out over 4 years and it makes a huge difference which schools you apply to. So one of the other pieces to this that's pretty important is that everything we know from 4 years of research on college student success and from thousands of CEOs saying which colleges they went to. It actually doesn't really matter which schools you go to. It matters what you do while you're there. And if that's the case, which it is, then we ought to be able to decide, you know what, I'm not going to spend that much on undergrad. I'll save my money for graduate school, or I'll save my money to fire up a startup after college, or to invest in some other entrepreneur that I really think is doing good things, or to go to work for an entrepreneur that can't pay me what I actually should be able to be paid, but I really believe in that project. Those are all things that thousands of students every year can't do because they've got $60,000 in student debt staring them in the face the day they graduate.
Nice. Any other questions before I ask our traditional final question? We've got time for one more question.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, because we have a lot of startup founders going through this, the accelerator right now, could you explain, like the process of where you began to how you got here very briefly? Like, because this is a really nicely well explained presentation, like Gene said. Could you kind of give us like an overview of like your progress from the beginning to here?
Yeah. The short version is imagine the split second before the Big Bang and then now. This is in about February 2018. Kimberly and I were working in a small college. We both ran the Office of Institutional Research and Assessment. And I turned around in my chair to her and said, tell me why this is crazy. What if we got students to share their award letters to a central thing so everybody could see it? I had read an article about how Edmunds sort of helped to disrupt the car industry about 15 years ago. And over the next several months, we just tried to pick this thing apart. But it was really just an amorphous, like, oh, cool, that would be great. And then at one point it was like, okay, so how do you pay your rent? I don't know. And what followed was, all right, let's try to sell this to colleges first. And that actually wasn't the right way to go. And so we have iterated on a couple of different times. I'm not sure we call it pivot, because the whole idea was create a transparent pricing resource for everyone shopping for college. But we have iterated and evolved and figured out all kinds of things that we tried, just about, making sure that we anonymize the letters the right way, or that we made sure that the process was accessible to the public, or we discovered the degree to which we really are telling people, yeah, everything you've been told about how to search for a college is actually ensuring that you pay more for it. And having to sort of uneducate before we educate. I mean, they're just, I'm not doing a great job of giving you this perfect narrative, because it really was like tub of goo, figure out your way, fumble, screw up, step in it, everything, to then, okay, now maybe we should try it this way.
I would add that Tom Trone, who's here in the Quad Cities with us, has been a really valuable mentor for us. He has given a lot of his time and experience right from the beginning to help guide us along. And then the Iowa EdTech Accelerator has also been really pivotal in our progress in the last few months. So I think key mentors, right, like Tom Trone or Eric Engelman, have been amazing in helping get us to where we're at.
And those of you that know Venture School or SCORE or the Riverbend Angels, which is a local angel group, know Tom, because he's really involved in all three of those things.
Very nice. I'll ask our traditional final question. What can we as the community do to help you? And our second part of that, how do we get in contact with you after this event is over?
Sure. Well, the obvious answer, of course, is to spread the word about TuitionFit. This is a classic network effect effort where the more people know about this and the more people use it, the better it gets for everyone. If you know anyone that is a high school senior planning on going to college, or is a parent of a high school senior, regardless of whether they've picked their college and everything else, we would really be so grateful if they would share their award letters to TuitionFit, so that the next cohort of students who are 2021 grads could benefit from having this information. The second thing is to, and I'm asking people to sort of be a pain in the butt sometimes here, but when people start to go off about college is so expensive and everything else, maybe say, you know what, maybe it's not, because the range of prices that are actually available for students to go to college just doesn't match up with the argument that college is unaffordable to vast majorities of people. It's just that colleges that they applied to were unaffordable, and that's because they didn't have a chance to shop by price. So the other thing that was always helpful to us is feedback. When you try TuitionFit and you find something that you think could be better, would be so appreciative to any feedback that you have. The students that are on this presentation now, try it and tell us everything we got wrong. That would be so helpful to us. And then how can you contact us? Well, tuitionfit.org is the website, and you can reach me at mark@tuitionfit.org, or you can reach Kimberly at tuitionfit.org.
Mark, if you go up one slide, the next slide, you can see that.
Oh, yeah. This is the big reveal.
And also, families with high school sophomores and juniors can create free accounts on TuitionFit right now. So it's not just seniors. The freshmen, sophomores, juniors in high school can create those free accounts. Start seeing a little bit of information now, and then they'll be there as they get closer to that college search.